Hey, Scrapbook friends, it's Nicole, and I'm here on the second Wednesday of October with our next installment in the Savvy Scrapbookers YouTube collaboration that I am doing with my good friends Debbie Martin and Donna Guest. Most of you know that every month we take a Creative Memories paper pack and either the stickers or the embellishments that go along with that. Each of us, we divide it up, and then each of us creates a double page layout using the pieces that we chose. And so if you follow along with us, when you're done, you can create 3 double page layouts using just one paper pack and one embellishment pack this time without having any duplicates. So this month, the new paper from Creative Memories was Christmas Cheer. I love Christmas. You guys know I love Christmas layouts. I firmly believe that craft stores and craft companies get a little pass when it comes to Christmas stuff coming out in October. However, emotionally, I was just not ready to do Christmas. And the other girls seemed to feel the same way. So instead of doing Christmas, we decided to kind of go back and pull out Golden Harvest, which was actually last year's fall collection, but it's still available. So we're going to be using the Golden Harvest paper and the embellishments, which are also still available. And each of us are going to be creating a layout for you this month. However, in October in Alabama, it's not quite fall. The calendar says fall, but the thermometer still says second summer, third summer, I don't know, summer again. We did see like one low temperature in the 50s last week, but it was just a trick. So I am so thankful to my sister who lives out west where they are starting to get some fall color, and she had posted these great pictures on her Instagram, and so I asked if I could steal them and use them for my layout today, and she very kindly said yes. So this is a layout that we're going to be creating. We are going to be using the circle cutter. Those of you who follow my channel know that. There might be a way that you could do this with their custom cutting system circles if you want to, but it would be a lot harder. Please, please learn to use your circle cutter. All right. And so from the Golden Harvest paper, I picked the green leaves. The back is the plaid. I picked the yellow, it's not a plaid. What is it? Checks. The back is these blue little speckles. Oh, there are leaves in there. Look, I didn't even see that. I thought I was going to use this pumpkin paper, but in the end, I ended up using the leaves. And then I love this gorgeous red. This was the first of the papers that I picked. So that's what we're going to be using for today's layout. I'm going to use the yellow check and the green as my background. So we can just kind of set those to the side. And we're going to go ahead and start with the circles because that's kind of my favorite part. So you're going to need your 12-inch trimmer first, and then you're going to need your circle cutter. So, oops, I moved it out of my way and I had to reach for it. Okay, so the first thing though that we're going to do is we need to cut the pieces for this border. I love the look of having a colored border around my layout. Sometimes you can cut your top piece shorter and put it on top, but because I'm trying to limit this to only 4 papers, and I do know that we did talk about being able to use like a piece of cardstock if we needed to supplement, and I was very tempted to use some cardstock, but I decided I'm going to try and see if I can do it just with my 4 papers. And so we're going to be cutting some strips, and then I'm going to have you miter the corners. If you can see the little miter corner in there. For the border. And then we're going to use this to cut our circle. And I'm going to teach you a little bit different way. Many of you know my little technique with the Post-it note. And if not, I will link to that in the comments because you really want to learn that one. But we're going to do the same technique a little bit differently. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut 8 1/2-inch by 12 strips of paper, of this red paper. All right. Okay, so 6 of them are going to be for our border, but then we're going to use the other 2 for another little, I don't even know, it's not a shortcut, it's a little hack to mat one of our photos. Yes, you can quote unquote mat the photo with 2 strips of paper. So now I want to cut this at 8 inches. It might be, let's see, I'm going to put the foot up. It might be a little bit, not exactly. So I've gone a little bit over. So this is about 1/8 of an inch over, but I want to start with a perfect square. So I'm going to cut this, trim this down to 8 inches. I'm just going to take this little hair piece off, and then I'm going to turn this and cut this also at 8 inches. Okay. So we're going to use this for something else too. But then we're going to cut our circle. So if you've watched my video, you know how to use the Post-it note to position your circle maker exactly where you want it. If you have one of these already made, you want to use that, you can go ahead and put that in the middle and then cut the circles. If you haven't done this yet, another way that you can use that same technique is by actually drawing lines on the back side of your paper. This one works really well because the paper is the red is the side we're going to be using, but the back is white, and so it's going to be easy to see. So this is the same technique. What we want to do is find the center of our paper so that this is where our pivot point is going to go. So the way we're going to find the exact center of this is by finding the corners, or by finding the middle, sorry. And you guys know I like to mark my corners just with a little pencil so that I can see them. If you can find your corners more easily than I can, you're welcome to just skip this step, but it just helps me to see where the line is when I draw my lines. And so here's my, oops, now see I went off in spite of my, okay. So because I messed up a little bit, I better erase that. One of these lines is wrong. So I used a pencil, it's all good. Because I'm gonna want this to position my, my line a little bit better. Okay, now what we want to do is to find the front side of the circle cutter so that we know where to position this. And so the space between the pivot point and the outside is about 1 1/4 inches. So I'm going to take my ruler, and because I messed this up, I'm going to use this one. And I'm going to put my ruler at 1 1/4 inches. So that's 1 inch, and then the next one is 1/4. And I'm going to make sure that this line, the 1 1/4 inch line, is lined up with that line. I'm just going to draw this line right here. All right, so this is 1 1/4 inches, which is just exactly like we do on the other Post-it note hack, but it's bigger. And you don't have to have the Post-it note because we're just going to cut on this actual piece. So this is an 8-inch piece of paper, and I want to cut a little bit smaller than that, but we're going to cut some teeny tiny little circles. So I'm going to put it at the 7.8. If you remember, this doesn't have normal measurements, but I'm going to put it at the 7.8 mark. So it's like 7.2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, 2, 4, 6, 8. So basically the line, I know we all hate math. Not the 8, but the line next to the 8. The first line next to the 8. And then I'm going to line this up. And this is why I needed to erase that line. So I need to line it up with this. This perpendicular line is going to line up with the black line on the bubble. Okay, see that black line? Hopefully you can see that. And then the front of my tool is going to line up with this 1 1/4 inch line that I drew. And that's going to mean that that little pivot point is going to be right on that X. Okay, so I'm going to put that on there, hold this down, and then you push in on the white button, push down on the blue button. We're going to go all the way around and cut our circle. And Noreen Smith knows how to do her arm, so she doesn't have to pick it up and move it, but I don't know how to do that. So there's my circle, and you see we got a very close cut to the edge. Not exactly centered because I messed up with my line probably. But now we want to cut a super skinny line, and so I'm just going to move the bubble down 1 little tick mark. So right now I'm on the one just next to the 8. I'm going to scoot it down 1 more little tick mark, lefty-loosey, scoot it down once, tighten it back up. Then we're going to do the exact same technique. We're going to do that 3 times. We're going to cut 3 circles. And hopefully if you got this lined up right, you'll be able to do these little tiny circles. If they're not exactly symmetrical, that's okay because of the technique that we're going to do. So one tick mark, another tick mark. So just make sure that you don't scooch this around. Once it's on here, you hold that down and this little felt pad will grip onto your paper. And then the last one, which is the tick mark right past the 7. And if you wanted to kind of go crazy, you could cut another one, but I feel like 3 was a good number for this technique that we're going to do. And this actually would make a lovely title page. It would, you know, lots of things you could do with this. We have a single layout. We're going to save this. Now we're going to take this piece of paper that we had cut, which is 4 by 8. That was the piece that was left after we cut this circle piece. It's 4 by 8, and we want to do the same thing. So if you have the Post-it note, it's super easy to line up one of these 3-inch Post-it notes on a 4-inch piece of paper, because you can just use your grid marks on like your 13-inch mat or something and line that up just like that. But if you haven't done that, it's okay. We're going to do a very similar thing. We're going to draw a line at 4 inches or 2 inches, sorry. And then we want to do another line the other direction at 2 inches. And I'm using my grid line, but I could just be using the marks on my ruler. Okay. And I'm not going to use this other piece, but I'm going to do the exact same thing, only now I'm going to cut a circle that's about 3.5 inches, which is about the smallest size you can really cut with this. Oh, I forgot to do my 1.25 inch line. Oh, sorry, that was 1.5. I don't want 1.5. So I didn't even do it on against the corners because this one doesn't matter as much. But I just want to do the same thing to find my pivot point, make sure that my paper is centered so I can get this in the right spot. It's way easier if you already have your little Post-it note done though. So hope I don't confuse anybody by doing it this way. Okay, so there's my little 3.5 inch circle, and that's all we're going to use as far as the circles. These pieces will be scrap. Okay. And then the next thing we want to do is we're going to cut the big mat that's going to go across this page and onto this page. And for this one, you really need a paper that has an all over pattern. So that's why I couldn't use the pumpkins, because one of these is going to be turned sideways. So we're going to use the leaf side of this paper. And I wanted to be able to put, this is a 4x6 photo, and I wanted to be able to have a nice mat for it. So this piece is going to be 5x7, but we're going to cut this piece first. We're going to cut our 12-inch paper at 7 inches. So this is 7. My little foot is up to make my cut straight. So I'm cutting this at 7 inches. And then I'm going to take this piece left, which is now 5 inches, and I'm going to turn it and cut it also at 7 inches. Okay, so now I have 2 pieces that are 7 inches tall, so they're going to butt up against each other on the layout and just be seamless. But you can see that if I had tried to do it with the pumpkins, one of them would have been sideways. But this one, the 12-inch piece, I actually want to cut an inch off the end. So I'm going to, actually, let's do it right here. I don't need to measure that way. Cut an inch off the end. Okay, so now this is 11x7. And this is 5x7. And we're done with cutting. So pretty easy for this layout. So now we're going to start assembly, and I'm going to start by putting the strips around the edges. And remember, we cut 8 of these little strips, but we're only going to use 6 of them for this technique. And if you want to miter the edges, I want you to not put any adhesive on like the last inch or so of your strip of paper. Okay, I moved my tape runner. And now all I have is repositionable. And you guys know I prefer my regular tape, but I'm going to use repo so that you don't have to wait for me to find it. So we're going to go ahead and use the repo tape, which is actually probably a little bit nicer when you're trying to put a line paper, just to make sure you got it nice and straight with your edge. Because the red and the yellow are such a contrast, it's fairly easy to see if you've got it straight. And we're going to do it on 3 sides, but all of them we're going to not do the outside edge. We're going to go back and do that. So I want these little outside edges to be kind of floating free. If you don't care about mitering your corners, which you don't need to care, it's super easy. It doesn't, you know, it looks fine if you just overlap them. I mean, if you just want to have your corner like that, you can absolutely stick it down, ignore the part I said about don't put adhesive on the ends. But if you want to miter the corners, I'm going to show you how to do that in just a second. So I'm going to put this all down on 3 sides of my layout. And then I'm going to take my microtip scissors. Let's see, we're going to zoom down. And I'm going to take my microtip scissors. And what I want to do is to make sure these 2 pieces are together. I'm going to fold the back piece away, kind of out of the way. So I've folded my backing piece away, and I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to eyeball it. I'm going to line up from the corner to the inside corner. You see that? We're just going to snip. Okay, we're going to do the same on this end. Folding the background paper out of the way, making sure these 2 are aligned. Cut from the outside corner. Okay, I don't want these to flip around too much there. This one's kind of being loose. I want them to kind of be nested pretty well on top of each other. So now I've got this really cute, it's a very nice finished mitered corner. So now I'm going to take my tape and I'm going to stick it down right here on the, actually on the paper, and then I can stick these pieces down. And you know, so you could have stuck down the inside edge, but I always mess up which corner I meant to not stick down. So it's just safer for me if I don't stick down any of the edges until I've done all my mitering. And of course, if you were going to be just doing a single page and you wanted to, you know, miter all 4 corners, then you would, you know, you would still want to do it that way. Oops, little guy stuck in here. All right, there's my little square. Okay, so there's one side, and we're going to do the exact same thing with this side. I don't think it matters which part of this green I want to have up versus down, so I'll just do the exact same thing. All right, so do my corners. Start in the corner. So we are getting to the end of the year, and I would love to know how you guys feel about this Savvy Scrapbookers collaboration. Is this something you would like to see us continue into 2024? Have you been creating the layouts? Have you been following all of the, all 3 of us that have been doing this together? Would you like it if we mixed it up and, you know, maybe did, I don't know. I don't know that we could add another person, because it's really hard to only get to use 4 pieces of paper from a collection. But yeah, I haven't actually talked to Donna and Debbie yet about what they're thinking, but I figure I'll ask you guys. Have you liked this? I know I've liked that it's made sure that I've at least had one layout to show you every month, even when life is crazy busy. So let me know that in the comments, or if you know, if you're on my email list or whatever and you want to just email me your thoughts, I would be glad to hear them. Because 2024 is going to be here before we know it. All right, so here I'm going to cut from my outside corner to the inside corner. And again, outside corner to the inside corner. Oh, sorry, I forgot to zoom in. I hope you guys saw it well enough the first time. And then we'll just stick these down. And this just gives you that look as if you had matted your base page on another page. And I just think it adds a lot. And I tried to not do it when I was designing this layout. I didn't want to have to cut all those little 1/2-inch strips, but I had to cut all those little 1/2-inch strips. So, but you could use stickers even. Remember, we used to have those just straight stickers. You could use those Great Length stickers. You could use a piece of cardstock, or you could absolutely trim your paper down 1/2 inch on 3 sides and then mat this on a piece of like cranberry cardstock or something. Okay, so now we're going to take our 3 circles, and these are not the same size circle, obviously, because we went, we kind of went down and, one of them is, the set, what was it, 7.8, 7 point, whatever. So now we're just going to kind of arrange these in this lower left corner, and there's not really an easy way to put the adhesive on. I tried to kind of do it like all at once, but boy, these little circles just don't want to be cooperative. So we're going to try it. If you have the bigger silicone mat, or you have a different kind of a surface to put your stuff on before you put your adhesive, it might be a little bit faster, but I'm just going to kind of go around and try and get adhesive on as much, as evenly spaced as I can. We can always go back and add more. If you don't use the repositional adhesive, you could use a glue pen for this. If you did that, I would have positioned them first and then figure out how to do it. Position them and then stick them down. So I'm going to just take, I think this is the biggest one. Peel those apart and just kind of arrange it. I don't want it to be touching the outside red line, which is why I did that red line first. I want there to be a little breathing room. And the circles are hard because they don't really want to stay, or it's hard to they're so small, it's kind of hard to make sure that they stay circular. Part of them are going to be covered up by our mat. So if it gets messed up, whatever, try to make it kind of be messed up right here, because that's where the mat's going to be. So you see, that's not really very circular, but that's okay. Then we'll take the next one, and you want to kind of overlap it, but you don't want it to be too, you want to vary that. So I'm going to kind of do it like this, put that right here. And again, this is my kind of wonky section. And then this one, I don't want to crisscross in the exact same spot. So I'm going to crisscross like right here. So it might have been easier if I would have done this with a little bit wider circle. So you can also do this with a pen. If you wanted to, you could just draw it with a pen. Oh, now I'm touching down there. I don't want that. And I kind of have a little spot right here where I double cut, which is what I'm trying to kind of cover that up. And I'll see that kind of covered up that same spot. It feels too heavy if you cover up the same spot. Seriously, when I did my sample, it wasn't this hard. All right, there we go. And again, kind of, it doesn't have to be exact. You just want to kind of have your 3 little wonky rings on here. And then we're going to take, well, actually, maybe we're not going to do this yet because you want to figure out with your photos. What the photos I had were, these are 3.5 by 6 inch photos, and these are 3 by 3 photos. So I wanted my big orange mat to be up higher. So I put it about 1 inch from the top to leave room under here. If you don't have that many photos, maybe you only have 5 photos and you just want to do 1 in your circle and then 5 across, you could position it you know, however you like it. You know, you could center this for sure. But then, you know, so decide, oops, I'm off the screen, sorry. Decide how you, what photos you have before you stick your mats down. So for this one, maybe I'll center it. If you don't have your photos yet, maybe don't put this part down yet. But that way, put your pictures, your big orange mat wherever you think your pictures might want to be. You might want to put the mats down here at the bottom, just up to you. And then we're going to take our embellishments, which of course I put somewhere. Here we are. So the bad thing about these Golden Harvest embellishments is that there are only 20. And since there are 3 of us trying to divide 20 by 3 people, I only ended up with 6. And so that made it a little bit tricky. But I really liked this one that looks like a tree trunk that says, "Let's grow old together." And so then I took the other 2 that kind of match it. And because I took this giant one that has the pine cones on it, I said we would count that as 2. And that way the other two girls got 7 each. I got 6, but I got these 2 leaves and then the 3 circles, and then they got all these. And it kind of worked out interestingly that, you know, I got kind of the browns and greens, and Debbie got the yellows, and actually I don't remember who got what, but anyway, so they divide up that way. So then I just put the little, you know, used reposition adhesive. I put this little piece down here in the corner. It's okay to overlap it a little bit. And then I put the Let's Grow Old Together on some foam squares. And then I took the big circle, and what I did is I tucked it behind, all the way behind this orange mat. But I kind of think it would have looked nicer to be this way, to be on top of the orange mat. But, you know, you decide what you would think. Because I put so many pictures on mine, you kind of can't see it. But I tucked that behind, and I tucked this behind. I let a little bit of that poke out on the side because I really like the red. And then I used 1 leaf and 1 circle, and then 1 leaf and 1 circle. This is the only one that I put up on foam squares. So really that's my layout. All the rest, well, you do want to move if you have any extra little repositionable adhesive that got sticky on here. You want to move that, but that's my whole layout. All the rest is just pictures. Oh, I forgot to show you how to mat this one, to use our extra strip to mat this picture. And I don't have a picture. Let's see. I used all the pictures that I brought down. Okay, here we go. Here's a picture for my daughter's birthday. I think I did this for the birthday bonanza layout, but I'm going to show you how I used these 2 strips to make a little photo mat on the back of this. And I do this a lot when I have just a little bit of paper, but I want a photo mat. Sometimes you really need a photo mat, and for this one you do too. So I'm just going to take the my photo, and I'm going to put, let's see. Hopefully you don't need me to zoom down. Hope you guys can see it. I'm just going to put a little adhesive right along the edge, and I'm absolutely going to use a grid to help me line this up. So now it's lined up right here. I'm going to just eyeball it about halfway along that line. I'm going to take this paper and put it over. So now it's on a line right here. I think I do need to zoom in for you guys for this one. And then I'm going to cut this piece off. So hopefully this is now about 7 inches. Okay. So now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Using some kind of a grid. You could use your 0 centering ruler if you wanted to. Something that has a straight line. I'm going to put this on here so that this side is lined up straight. And then I'm going to scoot it so it's about halfway. And that's just going to help me make my line straight. And I always like to do the 2 longer pieces first. I'm just going to put my repositionable along here, bump this up about 1/2 inch. So I'm lining that up with that right there. Cut that off. And then you do the same with these 2 little pieces that you just cut off. Again, I'm lining up this side with that line and this side about halfway between the lines, just so I can get it straight. And you could always, you know, trim this with your trimmer if it ends up not being straight, because I am going to trim it. Actually, I want a little bit on here too. Line up here about halfway. All right, hopefully this is making sense to you guys, what I'm doing. And I will pick it up and show you so you can see what the back looks like. And I don't need to really move any of that repositional because I'm going to stick it down. But so the back is just, you know, I just kind of went over. But the front looks like this. And now I'm going to take my personal trimmer, zoom out a smidge. And I always like to use this little shadowy line on the personal trimmer just to help me cut mats. And so I'm going to take this, the edge of my picture, and line it with the shadow right there. So hopefully you can see. I've used that to align it because I don't know if this piece is straight, but I know that my picture is straight. So I've got it aligned right here. I'm going to trim that off. And now that this edge is straight, I can put it up against the top, and you can really see. I don't know if you guys can't see when I'm doing it down here, but I can really see where the, uh-oh, now I just cut it crooked. I don't know what I did. All right, let's do this way. I can really see the cut line. I don't know how I did that one not straight, but it's not the end of the world. We can fix that. So what I'll just do is I'll just pick this guy back up. Go off the edge. All right, and now that I made it work. Now I've kind of messed up my edge. Seriously, it always works when I'm not trying to show it to somebody. But that's how you make that little photo mat. So that's what we have here. And I didn't print another set of the pictures. I did just print these as 3x3s. They're from Instagram. The other, she sent me the originals. I do have permission to use the pictures of her family, but oops, still zoomed in. But this is a 4x6. I use that little technique to mat the edges. Well, you can't see because it's white. This one I bumped all the way up against the edge of the paper so that I would have room to leave a little gap between the pictures, and centered them. And then I did the little 3x3s. And this is actually 3x4 because I wanted to do as much of the view on there. And you see I covered up, I tucked the picture kind of behind those little strings. And then this is the one that I put on some little foam squares just for a little dimension. So there you go. There's our layout using Golden Harvest, which, you know, it is from last year. And that's kind of part of the reason why I think we're seeing so many of the products this year sell out faster than usual, is because last year's products didn't sell as fast as they're used to. And hopefully by next month when we are going to do Christmas, that will all still be available. But if not, we'll have to come up with a plan B. I am not using Joy to the World, because if you want Joy to the World, you go back and watch those videos. But I do love these fall collections. We also have It's Fall Y'all, which is from 2 years ago. So if you wonder why is CM selling out of stuff so fast, it's because of the years that they didn't sell out. They want to be able to give us a new fall collection. We did not get a new Halloween collection this year because we still have the last 2 years Halloween collection. So if you want to see new things, the only way to do it is for us to, you know, to help CM figure out how many they need to order so that we can have all the collections that we want. So I hope that you have enjoyed this video. Hop down in the comments. I will put the link to my Post-it note hack, how to use the circle cutter. If you haven't used the circle cutter before, you're going to want to maybe watch that again. And I'll also put the links to Donna's and Debbie's videos. And I hope that you will hop over there, watch their videos, and give them a thumbs up. maybe a comment, or if you like their style, also subscribe to them. This has been really fun for me to work with them. Our styles are, I think, complementary. My layouts tend to be a little bit harder, a little bit more fiddly. Theirs tend to be a little bit simpler, but I think that the style of all of them, we really try to make the focus be on the photos, and I hope that you will agree with that. So don't forget to leave me comments about how you feel about the collaboration and if it's something you would like to see us continue into the next year. So I will be back very soon. My theme park Thursday is going to be launching hopefully tomorrow. Just depends on what kind of week I end up having, but hopefully theme park Thursday will be launching this week, and I will be back again soon. I have another album flip through almost ready to go for you, and I will be better. I burned myself out in July with Christmas in July, but I enjoy the YouTube videos. I love your comments, and I will be back very soon with some kind of a video that hopefully will help make your scrapbooking life happy. So until then, happy scrapbooking.